The Virginia Tech Hokies College Football Experience Season Preview Episode for 2024 on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog's giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. They just released college football best ball. I've been waiting for this my whole life. So get on over there, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL picks are and projections are now live. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey folks, this is Bud Foster. You're listening to SGPN. Let's let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Virginia Tech Hokies 2024 season preview episode. Welcome. And as we continue on this journey of breaking down 134 college football teams with an hour-long podcast dedicated to each and every team in the land, this is the Hokie edition. This is Virginia Tech. Can this be a magical year? Brent Pry's been building for it. You heard Bud Foster on the intro. Shout out to my guy, Bud Foster. Been on the show a couple times. And
great man.
Hell of a good guy. Obviously, a legendary defensive coordinator, legendary football coach. And he was the guy to really ignite this Hokie. You know, him and Frank Beamer concocted a plan to get this thing together. And they got it together. Can they get back there? YouTube.com/the college experience. We're going to break it all down. We got slides. We're going to talk offense, defense, special teams, go game by game on the schedule. But first, you're probably wondering, who is this jackass talking to you? That's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee, a.k.a. Cap Bozo. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Yeah, I am just doing rum shots over here out of my. I haven't drank like this since I was at Big Al's in Virginia Tech back in the day. Look, at one point I spent a couple months at Virginia Tech figuring out life, and you might have took a biology class where I narrated the fucking video. Well, let me tell you, mistakes on them. All right, when the voiceover guy calls out, there's always Pick Dundee ready to step up and talk about shit he has nothing to do there, knows nothing about. All right. Biology, is that a D3 school? What's going on, folks? Let's talk Virginia Tech Hokies by my co-host. I think he's a closet Hokie fan. I know he's a Wahoo fan, but I don't know what's going on here. It's all fucking weird. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh. Up.
I mean, Lane Stadium. I've done the experiment, Lane Stadium, but one of the best college football environments. Bruce
Lane's
Smith
amazing.
played there. All right. You got, obviously Michael Vick, Jim Drunkenmiller. I always liked that name. I was hoping for more success just so I could talk about Drunkenmiller
The
more
drunk.
in my life. Yeah.
We got drink at Missouri. We should have had the drunk in Virginia
Yes,
Tech.
I remember Al Clark, Maurice DeShazo, all those guys back in the day. Will Furr. Yeah.
Going deep.
We are going deep here. We love college football and its history, and we will fight everything, including that cockamamie NFL kickoff that they got going on. Please don't ever have that touch college football, or I will be on. I'll be on watch. I'll put it like that. Buddy, how are you? And I think you owe an apology, not an apology. You owe a explanation on what the fuck you're all fucked up as a human being. You played at JMU. You grew up a UVA fan, but so you should hate Tech, but yet you love Tech. I'm all fucked up over here. Talk about why. Well, I guess I should introduce you too, right? Well, I guess I just did. Yeah. But anyway, Patty C from Virginia, obviously, like myself, and
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, explain.
Maybe it was. I mean, Saturdays in the early '90s, I was playing afternoon football, so my knowledge of I wasn't a diehard UVA fan at the time. I mean, I was a diehard UVA fan at the time, I'll say, but I wasn't a diehard college football fan at the time. I enjoyed it.
Hold on. Let me explain Patty C's last comment.
Well, I know that.
I was a diehard UVA fan, and I watched enough college. I watched plenty of college football back then, but I wasn't obviously nearly half as dialed as I am now, or a tenth of as dialed in as I am now. And because you just didn't have as many access to streaming, to be able to watch it, period. But I was a big Virginia fan. But look, Virginia Tech wasn't really, I don't feel like, looked at as the big rival back then. They weren't the last game of the season. That was Maryland. Obviously, it was Florida State, North Carolina. Those were the big games in ACC play that mattered, and then Virginia Tech was
because they were in the Big East. Yeah,
they were in the Big East. It was okay. It was an in-state game, but Virginia Tech hadn't really established themselves yet. They managed to get some wins in some pretty big UVA seasons, which should have made me a little madder. But to be honest, that wasn't super on my radar. And I was just a fan of. I looked at especially the state of Florida back then. I said Miami's in the national championship every other year. Florida State is. Florida. Like, why are they so far ahead as a state than where we're from? The state of Virginia. And so I just wanted this, like, someone in the state of Virginia to be able to represent on a national level. And Virginia got close, but then Virginia Tech, who wasn't really on my radar, came up and we all saw Vic and was like, holy shit, how could you not root for this guy? And then our buddy Danny, while we were in high school, got recruited to Virginia Tech. I got to go down and see Vic during his sophomore season up close on the fields, was standing 2 feet away from the number one recruit in the nation, Kevin Jones.
The only thing on my mind, Gene, was pussy.
I'm sorry.
Michael Vick. But anyway, I just got exposed.
In the meantime, that was going on.
I got exposed to Virginia Tech, and then obviously just going to Lane. Going to Lane, you can't walk away from that and not go, holy crap. So, I caught a lot of flack from my brother, who says I'm a turncoat for liking both of them, but I do like both of them. But guess what?
I feel like if
JMU plays either, we're taking both down.
I feel like if there's any UVA fans or even JMU fans listening to this, they're saying this.
You disloyal fool-ass bitch-made punk.
Is what it is. Is what it is. Fair.
Well, look, I mean, we're going to talk more about the Hokies and what the big season may be upon them. But before we do that, I do want to let you know you're listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And look, the Sports Gambling Podcast launched their 32-team NFL preview series. I just talk shit about the kickoff. Yeah, it's ridiculous. All right. It makes me really despise a lot that the NFL is doing. But at the same time, you can make money on the NFL, even with the silly ass kickoff. All right. And as a bonus, each, what the Sports Gambling Podcast is doing, first off, is previewing all 32 NFL teams. And as a bonus, they're giving away a code word. Submit the 32 code word phrase at the end of their 32 team preview, which, like I said, was 32 different episodes. And you could be the lucky winner who gets a $500 NFL Circa Future bet. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast and the SGPN app, which is free to download in their App Store and Google Play Store. All right. Back talking Hokie football. Patty C. I'm all over the place here on this team. Virginia Tech does college football right. They do. Right. Now, I never rooted for them like you because, well, they put East Carolina on the schedule and I would lose a lot of those. But I still enjoy when they're good because they do college football right. And anyone that does college football right kind of deserves to have good years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The sport's better when they're good.
Yes. And obviously with them rocking, and there's a lot of hype. I can't tell you how many people I was staying at the Circa for Mountain West Media Days and stuff. And, just start talking college football with random people that cover the sport. And everyone's talking Hokies, man. I know Ryan Real Money Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast is talking Kyron Drones. Heisman talk is odds. I've heard many people, Brad Powers mention him. And I'm like, damn, are we really going to go all in on that? Brent Pry, year 3, historically, a lot of coaches have had a big step forward in year 3. But where are you at with Brent Pry in this program? I'm going to throw some slides, youtube.com/the college experience. So you can check out some nuggets I did. I dig up, I do this for every coach. So it's not just, he's 10-14 in 2 years as a head coach. But here's the thing that stands out to me. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I think he might be the right guy for the job, but he is 2-8 against teams above 500 in his career at Virginia Tech. Now, obviously his track record, he coached under Jeff Monken, under Tommy West at Memphis, Frank Beamer and James Franklin. Hard to, I mean, that's pretty damn good, but, OC is Tyler Brown, DC is Chris Marv, but where are you at? And obviously Bud Foster you still see him around the program. Last time I talked to Bud, he said he's still checking things out, bringing that lunch
a lot
pail
of time
mentality
on campus, I believe.
Yeah.
Where
are you at with Brent Pry?
Well, a lot remains to be seen, but I certainly think he's got the program going in the right direction, and it was his first gig as a head coach taking over, and he said it himself that, hey, it's a lot different from being a defensive coordinator to inherit an entire program, and it's a different job you're doing. So year 1 was a little rough. Obviously, Grant Wells wasn't the answer they hoped he'd be at quarterback. Year 2, they were still kind of working the quarterback situation, or no, I guess Grant Wells was year 2. Year 1 was Braxton Burmeister. So yeah, I mean, he was a serviceable quarterback, but nothing special. Connor Blumrick had to step in and from the wide receiver position and contribute due to Burmeister not performing and then injury, and then so Wells stepped in last year. He wasn't really the answer, and obviously, or 2 years ago. Now, Drones last year had a great year. So 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It sounds, and over 800 yards rushing. If they have the quarterback position figured out and the offense is going in the right direction, you have to figure the defense is never going to be too bad at Virginia Tech. So I think he's doing pretty well so far. Potentially.
I'd like a better record than 2-8 against teams above 500, but I do think you have to build shit. If you look at a lot of great coaches their first couple of years, they probably have similar records like that against teams. So, where are you at with the logo here? Should they put that on a helmet and just have that on the fucking helmet? Wouldn't that be sweet? Am I crazy?
Yeah, they definitely should. That thing is beautiful. At least one, but they've done a bunch of, random helmets, the Hokie stone here and there. A lot of their uniforms aren't great. I think they're going back to the classics this year during the Vic Glory days.
I saw that. Yeah, they announced it on social media.
So I think that's all you need to do. Just stick to the classic.
Shout out to Adam Smith saying, "Gentlemen, I love sports as much as you. Thank you for all the live streams and content." Hey, well, thank you, Adam. It's comments like that help fuel our. I grew up, and I know Patty C grew up, and there was nothing better to me than college football. And the fact that I get to start just talking about this as an idiot and people started following, and now I can make a livelihood off this is fucking insane, man. It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
And let's be honest, this is kind of like how boring is the summer in American sports. We have the Olympics this year, and I can barely, look, fencing is cool and all, but it's not going to hold my attention for more than 5 minutes. We'd be doing this anyway.
If they didn't wear pads.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And they were wielding actual swords.
I love how you went there. Fencing is cool and all. Those fencers listening are offended. But no, I mean, yeah, I'm very passionate about it, whether it was on a microphone or not, and I think it bleeds into the microphone. And I'm glad you can connect with that. And I think that's something that I think we all have in common is we love the sport. We're passionate about the sport. The reason I make fun of this cockamamie NFL kickoff is because I don't want this thing to change. Like you can change in other areas, don't change there, where the fundamentals of the sport, the nucleus of the sport altered. Yes, exactly. And I think we have to fight. If anything, I'm bothered that other people don't bring it up because I think we should, but anyway, back to this particular episode, Brent Pry. Obviously I think this is a big time year for a man. And they showed flashes last year, but Patty C, one of the things that stands out to me is they didn't beat a team over 500 last year. Now, except Tulane in the bowl game, but Willie Fritz took like half the team fucking sat out or transferred. And they played in Annapolis, Maryland, was like a home game for Virginia Tech. And my guy Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour, was at that game. So I put zero credit into that bowl win, even though it is a bowl win. Was that the one that was
in the torrential downpour?
Rain. Yeah. So to me, I would like to see them beat a good team before I really buy in. But I can tell you this: we'll talk about it. I like what they got looking forward to in this season. So
I'll tell you this too.
What's that?
Real quick. They had a lot of blowout wins to end the season, which I think really like leads to a lot of the optimism. They struggled out the gate 1-3, but then they managed to, and even that blowout loss to Florida State, they were in it until late in the third quarter before Florida State pulled away. So I understand where the optimism is coming from. So let's see if they can keep it going.
Let's go. Folks, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience Virginia Tech Hokies season preview episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog just launched Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 pick'em entries, and then you go streaking. Bring your green hat. If you get on an 11-0 run, you can win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Plus, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. They just released college football best ball, which I've been waiting for about 20 years. So expect some content driven on that on this very podcast, not the Virginia Tech preview, but on this platform, we will talk about that at some point. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB. And obviously that season's heating up as we inch closer and closer to the World Series. And look, Game Time is fantastic. It makes getting tickets faster and easier is basically the slogan there at Game Time. And it's true. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, which like I said, that actually matters to me. There's been times I just gone online, typed in LA, whatever, San Diego Padres.com or whatever the fuck it is. And then you get on over there and it's like an old graphic and you pick your seat and you show up and there's a column in the way. You just burned your money. You know what I mean? And it sucks. But guess what? Game Time's not going to do that to you because I don't know what they did. I don't know if they had like Joe Schmo go around and take a shot from every seat in the stadium or what, or flew a drone. I imagine they just flew a drone over and I don't know, but they actually show you what you'll be seeing, which I think is a leg up.
Like spliced together an entire stadium's worth of photos for you.
Yeah. They Google Earth the fucking stadium. All right. And look, they're fantastic. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, but they also offer college football. If you're looking to go to Lane Stadium, enter Sandman. All right. You're going to want to use Game Time. All right. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, CFBX for $20 off. That's the redeeming code. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we are back talking Hokie football. Patty C, we do this with every team. It's not just because my boys are playing, but worst loss. I find it ironic They took the East Carolina Pirates off the schedule. We had like a home and home scheduled. I think it was like a 2-for-1 for like the next 15 years. It got canceled a while back, but we left our mark.
Well, they did the same thing with JMU. We got the better of them, and then we can play every other FCS in the country, but not JMU anymore.
Well, I mean, they took some losses there. 27-22, a block punt for a touchdown against Skip
beautiful.
Holtz. By the way, UVA should call Skip Holtz. That one was fantastic. I might have had purple spray painted on my jacket. I think I had a purple jacket and I had no ECU gear, so I spray painted on ECU. And I might have used a little bit too much spray paint because I was pretty high. I feel like walking around the stadium. Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, might have had a few cocktails and took a little nap on a patch of grass in by the bushes there. Anyway, also Boise State. I was at that game too. That one I didn't take a nap. However, I was completely shit hammered. That was a very fun game. Despite, I know this was in Landover. That game was
that was a heartbreaker right there.
That was a wild game.
Number 2 and number 3 on that list were back to back. Those were like 6 days apart from each other.
Yeah, obviously JMU Dukes took them down when they were in the FCS 21-16. That's the only FCS loss on here. Cincinnati, when they were in the AAC / Conference USA, grabbed a couple wins. And then my East Carolina Pirates just happened. I think it calls for something.
They just have this on repeat. If you go down this list and play it every time.
Well, yeah, we could do that if you wanted to, but also, Old Dominion is starting to pop up. Same with the Flaming Libs of Liberty.
That's crazy. Getting Old Dominion and getting them twice. Jeez.
And by the way, they're at Old Dominion this year. Patty C, what is the worst loss since the turn of the century for these Hokies?
I'm going to say, obviously my heart is with JMU, but I think the worst loss, it might be that JMU loss because they went on to win the rest of their games in the regular season and the ACC championship game. I think 11 straight after that, but couldn't get it done against FCS James Madison. I think also Old Dominion was terrible, but in terms of getting their heart ripped out, I think that ECU block punt game and that Boise State game were terrible losses and terribly disappointing losses. But as far as shameful losses, I'm going to say that ODU game.
Which one? The recent one where they got stuck in an elevator?
No. The first one where it's like they got like 500 yards of offense ODU.
Yeah, fair. All right, folks. I want to talk offense and defense, but I feel like if I start talking offense, I'm gonna have to break in with a commercial here. So let's just do it now. All right. What did Bill O'Reilly say? Fuck it, we'll do it now. All right. The college football experience, Virginia Tech Hokies season previews, brought to you by Rhythm. Football season is here, and the college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most for you, and Rhythm builds a custom model around that. Or let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. Patty C. Some say I know a lot about college football, but they never called me a college football quant. I'm waiting for that one. Look, Rhythm already has you covered for the NFL.
Mildly insulting.
True. You might get, depending on my alcohol intake, you might get punched in the face for that. Rhythm already has you covered for NFL week 1 and college football week 0. I think the Yellow Jackets are going to give Florida State a game in Dublin, Ireland. I don't know why they're playing this in Dublin, Ireland, but I think Georgia Tech will give them a little bit of a game. So I'd say take the points, buzz, sting. Let's grab those Yellow Jackets. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. I was just talking about this. I was staying at Circa for Mountain West Media Days. If you haven't been to Stadium Swim or Circa, it's sports heaven. You got to go. But they're awesome over there. everything is driven by sports and gambling, and it's just everything. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million. And Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa, there's no rake. He's not trying to get money from you. I find that to be fantastic. I think it's underrated element of all of this. Imagine the regret you're going to feel, by the way, if you win your office pool in Survivor, but you didn't enter Circa, because those picks would be good anywhere. No matter what you enter, you'd be a millionaire if you entered Circas. So you're going to have some regret if you don't enter. Look, if you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football season, Ultimate Contest Weekend's a great time to go out. You can hang with my buddies, Stacking the Money Green and Ryan Real Money Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Also, you want to use the promo code SGP15 to save you 15% off your hotel room at Circa there. Little secret of the pros right there. Type that thing in, get you 15% off. Look, sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th to enter this thing, the Survivor. And it's not like you got to fly back to Vegas every week. You could just use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. So hop on over there. And don't forget, folks, to let it ride. All right, we are back talking Hokies. Patty C, a year ago, the offense 54th in the nation scoring per game, 29.5 points per game. That was exactly in the middle of the ACC. 14 teams in the ACC last year, 17 this year. They were 7th, middle of the ACC. 58th in yards, 7th in the ACC. In passing, they were 95th, which was 9th in the ACC. But running the ball, they could run the rock. Top 25 running offense, 22nd in the land, 4th best in the ACC. What stands out to you most on that?
I mean, drones and tooting. That's a two-piece that, they've been, it resembles, I hate to say it, I know that there's Timothy Green in the chat, a Dub V guy. It kind of resembles Pat White and Steve Slayton a little bit. That's high praise, I know. But, I mean, they haven't had that speed combination, especially at quarterback, really ever. I mean, obviously they had Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Vick, Michael Vick, but they weren't using the read option at that point. They were using a kind of a typical maybe dive option mixed in with typical pro style power stuff. And so the offense wasn't really catered to their strength, which is speed down in Southern Virginia that they're able to get. And so now Kyron Drones is there. He's the offense is catered to it, and it's explosive.
Yeah, I mean, the rushing number is pretty damn impressive there. That stands out to me. Patty C, what else stands out to me is the entire fucking offense is back. 11. Look, I'm 77 previews into this damn thing. All right, we're less than 50 previews away from being done. Not one team has brought back 11 starters. This is the only team. Yes, and actually, you could even I could have made it more like Malachi Thomas has some starts. He's back at the running back spot too, but on one side of the ball, I should hit that. Same with their tight end. Their backup tight end I know Nick Gallo was injured last year, but their backup tight end started a bunch of games. Benji Gosnell, and there's a lot of reason to believe in kicker John Love is back too. Every fucking body is back. The entire offensive line. They got 2 tight ends that have started a lot of games. 2 running backs started a lot of games. The receiving core, Ollie Jennings is also the 4th wideout who started a lot of games. He was an ODU transfer. I mean, this is impressive.
Pretty stacked. What is it? 4 of their top 5, actually 5 of their top 6 receivers back, including what is Jalen Lane's position? I guess he's
do you remember that Middle Tennessee Miami game? He had 2 catches. He had 2 catches for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those 90 yarders against Miami. He was at Middle Tennessee and he was a wideout there.
Got a lot of significant, I guess 14 carries. I guess if you're only getting 14 carries versus 41 catches, you're clearly playing some receiver, but maybe getting a lot of jet sweeps, Jalen Lane. So much returning production, both in the receiving game and the rushing game. And then obviously the quarterback position being probably the most important. They have that coming back too.
Yeah, and in the portal, maybe they got hit in the portal. It doesn't look like it when you return everybody. They did lose some guys, but I'm trying to decide what is the biggest one. I'm thinking maybe like Lofton to Oklahoma State. I don't know. Like Hunter McClain going to JMU is just filthy, right? Daquan Wright to Ole Miss. Okay, that's probably. But he would have been second or third string at tight end. I don't know. Like.
Bryce Duke got some burn last year, 69 rushing yards. I guess that's not that much, but 6.3 yards per rush.
And he's going to ODU, who's on the schedule.
Shots fired.
Maybe. Yeah, not that is really. Pretty. Yeah.
It's going for more play time.
I mean, that's a lot of guys to lose, but I don't know that any are Wright would be a little bit Lofton, a little bit. I don't know about anybody else. They brought in 2 guys, Patty. See, just 2 fucking guys. I feel like that's a line in Major League. Colin Schley.
He's been bouncing around.
Well, he started a shit ton of games at Kent State with Sean Lewis. He got some starts or got some reps at UCLA last year with Chip Kelly. He heads out. That's great insurance because I do think he can run. He's a mobile quarterback. He's experienced.
That's a great pickup for
That's
depth.
A really great pickup. And then they brought in Montavious Cunningham at the offensive tackle spot from Georgia State. Now he's not penciled to start, but depth is depth. However, I don't know that you can say they won the offensive side of the portal. Can you?
No, you can't. I mean, I think Schley is a great, pickup. Like just from a numbers standpoint, you can't possibly say they won the portal, but that's as from a production standpoint, they didn't lose by that much.
Schley. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. And we're going to talk about the defensive side of the ball too. But actually let's go into that. Defensively, they were 50th in the nation in scoring per game. Obviously, this is Bud Fall. Man, their defense was the anchor on this team. Everyone talks Michael Vick, and I get it. He was incredible fucking talent. But the defense was their bread and butter, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Foster had them top 10, top 5 for almost a decade there.
Yeah. 50th in scoring per game last season, 8th best in the ACC, 20th in yards, top 25 defense in yards, 4th best in the ACC, 4th best in pass defense, 3rd best in the ACC, but 57th in rush defense, which was a bottom half ACC rush defense, Patty C. Is that concerning to you?
Yeah, that should be a little concerning. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning for that is. Again, close games, maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe the fact that, they don't have teams playing from behind yet. Teams are running the ball more frequently than I would have to look at that stat to see, whether other teams are having more rushing attempts. I'll look that up quickly, but that is weird. That stands out a little bit.
Now, much like the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball bringing back a ton, Patty C. The punter, Peter Moore, is back. All right. But 9 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Holy shit. They returned 20 out of a possible 22 starters with their kicker and punter returning. That is a ton of production. 2 on the defensive line. Cole Nelson. Linebackers Kelly Lawson and Kyoto Jenkins. The entire secondary is back, Patty C. This team is pretty fucking loaded.
Yeah, a lot of returning production on that side of the ball, like you just said. But 8 of the top 11 tacklers, 9 of the top 13 tacklers. So lots of experience and production coming back on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and once again, let's talk. Lost a couple guys. Derek Canteen was one I knew. He came in from Georgia Southern. Now he heads off to Cincinnati. That guy's just trying every goddamn college in the universe. Antonio Cotman going to Biff Poggi in the Charlotte Clits. And then Nike Hawkins to Sam Houston State, but still not the Canteen. Maybe I think that one hurts a little bit, but
Canteen was 6 on the team in tackles. Also 5 passes defense, which is good for second on the team. So that one hurts a little. Yeah.
But look what they brought in, man. Curtis Perry from Alabama. Anenas Peebles from Duke. Peebles is supposed to start, Patty C.
Hello.
Kevin Gilliam from the Oklahoma Sooners. He's supposed to start too. Both those guys going out
There you
and getting
go,
those
punching
pieces.
up that defensive line a little bit.
Sam Brumfield also supposed to start, and from Middle Tennessee, he was playing down there with Rick Stockstill. Johnny Red Floyd Stadium comes over. Also, linebacker Caleb Spencer comes in. Now he's not projected to start, but still, I will say they won it on the defensive side of the
I'd
ball.
like to get some Miami talent walking in. That shot's fired right there. A Hurricane coming up to Blacksburg to play for the Hokies.
Woo.
Gotta love that.
You know, let's talk about that for a second. Does that count? I'll play the. I don't
that
think
counts. Are you kidding?
From your point of view, talk to Miami fans. They don't value it as a rivalry game.
Well, the ACC, I think, originally put that as a non-annual rival, but I think they corrected it once the realignment happened and they had to reconfigure the annual rivals. Then Miami showed up because I think there were enough people that protested it. I don't know if there was all Hokie fans or what, but
I've asked several people about this, and I would love to know your guys' thoughts. We're on Twitter at TCE on SGPN, or leave your comment in the YouTube section. But every Virginia Tech fan I ask says it's a rival. Like Kramer, a bunch of my buddies. I've asked probably like 7 or 8 different Hurricane fans that I've met out in the world. They don't value it as a rivalry game. They say Florida State, Florida. I think they would even have UCF as a rivalry before that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: Virginia Tech did end Miami's 39-game home winning streak when they were number 2 in the nation.
But Virginia Tech fans know that. Do Miami?
They should. You had essentially that was kind of like a national championship caliber team that lost that game when they went to Blacksburg. I forget what their final record was in 2003, but that was a year removed from a national championship caliber team. So, yeah, I think Miami might just be playing too cool for school by not acknowledging Virginia Tech as a rival. But I also think you're probably right. It means more to Virginia Tech than it does to Miami.
Let us know your thoughts. I'm curious because every time I run into a Miami fan, I ask them that question. I don't think one time I've heard them say Virginia Tech.
I imagine it's similar to like Penn State and Ohio State, whereas Ohio State's like, Penn State, they're not a rival. They play down the fact that it's a rival, even though it's often
I would compare it to Penn State and Maryland.
That's a silly comparison. I mean, that's a ridiculous comparison.
How many years have they played?
I don't know. Miami has gotten the better of Virginia Tech lately, but that I want to say they've gotten like 5 or 6 years in a row now. But that had been a pretty even rivalry, and Virginia Tech obviously has had more success in the ACC than Miami has. Granted, a lot of that wasn't during the early years, but still, Miami to be looking down their nose at Virginia Tech over the past 20, 25 years is, especially the last 20 years, is pretty ridiculous.
I'm quickly pulling up. Now there is a Wikipedia page for it. All right. So there is that. They don't play for a trophy or anything though, do they? But they did play first in 1953. You have a little bit of history on their side. Miami leads the series by 10 games.
Miami 5 of the last 6.
They went from what? They didn't play this game for a long time, right? Like this is one that I guess kind of started in the 90s, right?
92 through like today essentially has almost been an annual game. So it's been played for, 30 plus years almost in a row.
Yeah, it's weird though. I find that a compelling thing. I always ask people that, and even for myself, I don't know that it qualifies. Like when I go through rivalry games,
yeah, it's fringe rivalry.
I think that like pops to me as a full on rivalry game.
Well, I think you pointed it out on one of our earlier podcasts where it has since regressed in terms of both teams being nationally competitive, national championship contenders at the same time, and playing each other in the same conference every year. When that was going on, it was clearly a massive rivalry, but that hasn't been the case for a while. So it has cooled off a little bit. So maybe it's not even, it shouldn't, I still think it's a rivalry. I do.
Yeah, I don't value it as a rivalry game. Me personally, I just look at it as like it's the same as to me like when like if Clemson's playing Pitt, you know it's going to be a good game.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, at
I
this
guess
point, maybe you're right.
Virginia Tech, Miami have a longer history than Clemson Pitt, but it'd be like NC State, Virginia or something. You know what I mean? Like it. Okay, Virginia Tech and Miami were more nationally relevant to those schools, but it just doesn't strike me as a rivalry game.
Sure.
Let us know your
Virginia
thoughts.
and Duke have played a million times, and we're in the same division. And you're
Well,
right. That's not a rivalry, so to speak.
Well, the Thursday night game is Boston College, Virginia Tech, and they say that's a rivalry game. I don't even know that I deem that a rivalry game. When I think of Virginia Tech's rivals, I think of Virginia and I think of West Virginia.
Yeah, but there are levels of rivalries. There are arch rivals, which Virginia and West Virginia. West Virginia has played Virginia Tech less frequently than
I have more memories of Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech than I do of Virginia Tech, Miami.
Okay, well, anyway, I think
it's fair to say because Paul Johnson had that thing rolling, and those were some classic matchups they had.
No, those were good. I mean, I think they never had the stakes of like those late 90s, early 2000s games when both teams were nationally relevant. Obviously, I mean, Miami pretty much cost Virginia Tech a national championship in 2000. What was it? Or 2000, Michael Vick's sophomore year. That was the only loss Virginia Tech had. Now, Vick happened to be injured for that game, but those were massive, massive games. And,
like two? You're telling me two had national implications?
I would say like 5 or 6.
Dude, Virginia Tech has not, like, I say this with love. They have not been in the national championship race 5 or 6 times.
Okay, but one of the two teams was, nationally relevant, and the other team was probably in the 9-10 win range most of those years. So,
okay. I
mean, 2 top 25 teams,
Let us know your thoughts. Maybe I'm fucking wrong here, but I'm saying I grew up in the area and I always felt like, it was an important game. It was ranked games, but what about when West Virginia played Miami? They were in the Big East too. They played for a lot of years. There were some good Major Harris taking them on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, do you think this defense will be better? I think this defense with getting Perry from Bama and Peebles from Duke and Gilliam from Oklahoma on the D line and Brumfeld coming in from Middle Tennessee, I do think this defense will be better this year. You agree?
Yeah. When you're bringing that much back and then you're adding some important pieces like starters, then yeah, I think you said they were 55th nationally.
Yeah.
Was that the number?
Wait, yeah, I thought it was 50th. Wasn't it 50th? Let's go back.
Was it 50th? Yeah, you tell me.
50th, yeah.
50th. Okay. Yeah. Although was it 20th in yardage?
In yards, yeah.
That I don't know that they're gonna. That is a huge discrepancy between their yardage defense being 20th and their scoring defense being 50th. Maybe they suck in the red zone. Maybe the offense is leaving them in a bad spot and they're giving up points on a short field. Who knows? But the 20th in defense, if they can replicate that, shoot, I'd take it. But the fact that they look like they're probably going to be a little bit better, and if the offense is going to be better too, yeah, the hype train should be rolling.
The win total is sitting at 8.5 over at DK right now. Plus 1,000 to win the ACC championship, plus 800 to make the playoffs. Why wouldn't you just play the plus 1,000? But plus 2,500 or no, plus 25,000 to win the Natty. Patty C, are you surprised it's at 8.5 after a six regular season wins a year ago? But they bring back everybody for the most part.
I'm not, only because I know that the schedule is manageable, and I think that they're bringing it, and obviously, like we said, they're bringing everyone back. So it is being optimistic to say that 8.5 is the number after, what would you say, 7-6 last year, but 6-6 in the
regular season, because the bowl game does not count towards your win total.
Yeah, that's a 2.5 game jump. That's optimism for sure.
Let's talk about it. The schedule. Week 1, they head to the construction zone known as Vanderbilt Commonwealth Stadium there. It's under construction, which I actually kind of think helps Vanderbilt in this scenario, because I feel like Virginia Tech fans would travel to that, but half the stadium's under construction. I
actually
hyped
Vanderbilt winning this game all through the preseason.
Well, I the reason why I have is because it's encouraging Virginia Tech's bringing back that many people. I am encouraged by that.
Yeah,
but they didn't beat a team with a winning record last year. Now Vanderbilt didn't have a winning record, but Vanderbilt brings in like 6 or 7 New Mexico State transfers, the offensive coordinator, 2 other position coaches, and Jerry Kill to the staff. So it's like you're bringing in a good chunk of New Mexico State, who won 10 games, one at Auburn.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to just say, I think Virginia Tech's a 13-point favorite. I'm like, why?
Yeah, that may be a lot closer than anyone realizes.
Well, especially because like normally when a Vanderbilt's got a home game, like it's an away game for them because like all the but by it being under construction, I think it benefits Vanderbilt.
Less road fans.
I'm serious. I'm dead fucking serious. I'll tell you this: Virginia Tech maybe wins, but I'm definitely taking the points of Vandy, and I do think they're on upset watch. Diego Pissing Pavia is a gamer of a quarterback, former state wrestling champ. If you don't buy into this guy, he is to me. You see this less and less these days with the way they protect the quarterback, but he is a game changer and he will do whatever it takes to win the game. Player. That's what I'm saying. I fucking love it. We got Sammy Baugh at quarterback for Vanderbilt.
I don't know, man. Look, you're hyping this game. I think Virginia Tech hands it to Vanderbilt week 1.
I'll take the points all day. And I think you sprinkle a little bit on the money line, but I will say I'll give Virginia Tech should be favored. So I will say, yes, 1-0. They're home to Marshall, who beat them last year.
What was it? Oh, I was counting that game. Marshall. I think
it was like 24-17 or something like that. 28-21
right. In Huntington, but still a bad loss last year.
Well, Marshall's gone on the road. They won at Notre Dame 2 years ago.
It's true. Huff is still there.
Still doing it. He'll huff and puff and blow your fucking home field advantage away, Patty C. I mean, I'll take Virginia Tech, but you can't tell me you feel like this is a lock.
Again, yeah, a lot of this might be just Virginia Tech being overblown because you're right. If we're looking at last year, there were some horrific losses. Rutgers by 19, horrific. Louisville by 31, horrific. And that NC State game, even though it was only 7, if you go back and watch it, NC State was absolutely in control of that game the entire time. Virginia Tech came up and cleaned it up at the end. It was never even like a threat. They cleaned it up so late that I think, NC State just let them get it within 7 right at the end. So they got their ass kicked against a good team there. Again, Marshall's a decent team, but I do think Virginia Tech should be favored.
I agree. But watch out. But I will say 2-0, right?
Yeah.
Then they head to SB Ballard Stadium. Now I want you to sell me on why they should be favored here because Old Dominion, first off, they're 2-0 at home against Virginia Tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Virginia Tech, but am I a fucking idiot? Because at what point do we say a game at SB Ballard Stadium where Marty Schottenheimer once played is an automatic win?
I think maybe you're right. I think maybe you're onto something. Maybe it's because Virginia Tech, who had obviously gone into the Hampton Roads area for as long as they did, and to get talent, those guys are going back home. They're seeing the familiar faces, the guys on Old Dominion, probably a lot of them from that area too, not scared of them, saw them play in high school. I don't know what it is, but losing twice at ODU is terrible. And ODU is only getting better.
2. They never won there.
Yeah. That would be crazy if they got him a third time. That would be wild. I'm going to take ODU. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm going to take Virginia Tech because ODU gets rated in the portal. They get rated in the portal every year. And I just feel like it's so hard to reproduce. Like their running backs now at Cal, their players gone. But I'll tell you what, Rutgers is a bit of a look ahead spot here too. Because Rutgers has a lot of people.
Think like, okay, so week 4, Rutgers is coming to Blacksburg. Rutgers averaged over 7 yards a rush on Virginia Tech last year.
Yeah,
this is where you count on Enter Sandman, and look, some people say that's overrated. I because Virginia Tech lost at home a lot, but it's still a legit environment. I will take the Hokies to get Rutgers. I don't feel great about this though, so I'm
4-0 out the gates.
I got them 4-0, but I don't have them 4-0 by that much. Is my point. Like yeah. I think they could easily lose 1-2. And I think the downside of this is like, if for some reason like Drones gets dinged up at any point, whether it's in August or whether it's in the Vandy game, you could be 1-3 here.
Yeah, definitely.
But I got him 4-0.
I think after last year, I'm tempted to hand him a loss in that first 4, but it's just like I don't see Vanderbilt and Marshall as big. And obviously you don't either. You said that's the 8th and 12th hardest game on their schedule. And ODU is the 10th.
I just did that because the road spot to me. Like, I truly expect Vanderbilt to be a lot more competitive and chippy this year as Clark Lee enters year 3. And I expect them to just be chippier. And I like that the continuity, like Diego Pavia and some of the other guys they got aren't learning a new offense. It's the offense they've been running for years. So I think that can if you just look at the surface, you say, oh, they're bringing in this is patchwork, but no, they're running the same fucking
fast
offense.
track. Yeah.
I'll
say this. Yeah. These next 2 are major concerns.
No, I have them losing at Miami, but I mean, God, can Virginia Tech fans please show up to, because the tickets will be easy. Miami fans don't show up to these fucking games. Go out to this Friday night game. I already dropped a Miami preview. I was forced to pick Miami, but I want to pick Virginia Tech so bad. I feel like Virginia Tech could win this game. I'll say this, between Rutgers and Miami, it's 1 loss.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, I think Miami's a loss, and I think between those first 4 games and then the back-to-back road going to Stanford after Miami, even though they get an extra day.
That's
yeah. I think
going cross country, Stanford's offense, I think, is going to move the ball. I think they're going to lose that game.
Yeah, I think 4-2 is where they start out first half of the season.
I agree. 4-2. They get a bye week Thursday night, Boston College, Lane Stadium. What could go wrong, Patty C?
I've seen this one play out before. That said, I think they're ready for BC and they get them.
I agree. 5-2. And then they get a little bit of extra rest. Like I said, I fucked up the exact day. They get Boston College, I think, on the 15th. They host Georgia Tech. I think they get Georgia Tech. I think they're 6-2. Patty C, you agree?
It's the 17th for Boston College and the 26th for Georgia Tech. Yeah, I think they get Georgia Tech. Although seeing people say that, God, I'm already forgetting their quarterback. Haynes King is potentially the best quarterback in the ACC. Better be careful, but I do think it really by this point, Enter Sandman plays a difference, and Virginia Tech's sitting here at 6-2.
6-2, and then they go to the Carrier Dome. I got them losing this one, man.
I could see why. It's
I think Syracuse is a tough environment. They've also loaded up on talent. Doing the Syracuse preview, I was like, whoa, they haven't had talent like this in 20 years. I got them losing to the Qs here at the Carrier Dome.
Could be right. I'll join you. I'll hand them that 3rd loss here.
But get this. I think they bounce back by beating a top 10 or 12 Clemson team at Lane Stadium and getting that dub. It's cold as shit. Clemson normally plays them in like October or September. By being this late, the Hokies get a big time win over Clemson.
Look, even with a 3rd playoff, 3rd regular season loss here, having this win could end up being a tiebreaker because we were looking back over the years, 9-3 and 10-2. There have been many years where several 9-3 teams would have made a 12-team playoff for that presumably 11 spot. Although, sometimes the group of 5 team is somewhere in the top 10. So that 11 and 12 spot are open, and definitely some 9-3 teams would have snuck in at that point. So Virginia Tech and Clemson, if they're both ending the season 9-3, and you figure Clemson, Georgia, and then a road trip to Florida State.
And at Pitt, they have had Pitt after the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah, so this could be a massive game. This could be a first spot in the ACC championship game. I think Virginia Tech gets it done in Lane.
I agree. And then they get a bye, and then they head to Wallace Wade Stadium. Great stadium. But for more on that, check out the Stadium Heads podcast where we talk about the history of college football stadiums. But I got them beating Duke with Manny Diaz in year 1. How about you? I know Duke's giving them fits though in the past like 7-8 years. I feel like Duke's been a team that has really fucked with Virginia Tech.
Duke has been challenging. I think it's probably because they have had excellent coaches, and whereas Virginia Tech has long won on a schematic advantage. They don't always have that against Duke, and Duke has been, over the recent years almost or about as athletic as Virginia Tech. So it becomes more of a stalemate. But I think, Virginia Tech's just in a better spot here. Granted, going to Wallace Wade makes this a close game probably again. But I think Tech gets it done.
I agree. And then they get the Commonwealth Cup on the 30th. I think they beat Virginia. If you listen to our Virginia preview, by the way, all of our previews are out. So go listen to all the other ones. You can listen to every other one on the schedule with the exception right now to ODU and Marshall, which we're going to tackle in the next week. Patty, see, I got him 9-3. I'm on the over, and I feel decent about it. The reason why I feel decent about it, you could say, well, how do you feel decent about it when you have them beating Clemson? Well, A, Clemson in cold weather, I don't think has a great track record, and B, I gave them a loss at Stanford and at Miami. Those are still winnable games.
I don't know when the last time we've seen a Clemson team, play in presumably pretty darn cold weather in November.
I think they got Boston College, but Boston
against
College
a team of this quality,
Yeah, exactly. They lost to Pitt the couple times they've been to Pitt Stadium.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame they lost to in November too. So
yeah,
a lot of logic there.
Yeah.
How good? I mean, I feel decent about it. I'm going to take the over. I'll be honest. Coming into this exercise, I thought this team's getting a lot of hype for a team that hasn't beat a team with a winning record.
That's fair. That is fair.
Right?
I mean,
and they got to prove it to me. So I thought I was going
to. They're back.
Yeah, I was going to go under, dude. Right? I was going to go under, but then you look at the schedule. And short of the fact they don't play an FCS and their 3 non-con games, it could be closer than what you would like your non-con games to be. But I still think it's a great schedule. And when they return that much production, I will take the over. And I think there's a decent shot they do play for the ACC championship. So let
me ask you this. Depending on how you feel about Rutgers, how many games will they be dogs in or should they be dogs in?
I think they will be dogs at Miami and the Clemson game.
So there you go. I mean, Vegas has Vegas says 8.5, but they got them favored in 10. So yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think things could really break right for Virginia Tech. I can't really see them doing much better than 10-2. I think that's probably their ceiling, but that probably gets them in the ACC championship game, especially.
No, I'll say 11-1's the ceiling.
That would be a phenomenal year.
Yeah. 11-1's the ceiling. The floor, though, we should talk about, because I will say this, where it's an easy schedule within the ACC, if they don't start out, if Vanderbilt upsets that, we've seen Virginia Tech start off slow historically, right?
Oh yeah.
Whether it was ECU, whether it was last year, whether it was, some of the other years with ODU or the Boise team and JMU after that. Like I said, there's potential to be 1-4 out the gate.
I mean, man, if
that
would be a catastrophic start. I would say it's closer to.
Hear me out on that, because Marshall beat him a year ago. Old Dominion's never lost to him at SB Ballard, right?
Rutgers
and it's like
him a year ago.
Rutgers averaged over 7. I think it was 7.4 yards a rush.
Yeah, Miami beat him a year ago. So yeah, in their first 5 games of the teams they played last year, they were 0-3 against the three teams they played last year. So if everything stays the same, we should probably expect about the same. And like you said, at ODU, they've never won at, and at Vandy could be tougher than we think.
I'm just saying, I don't think this will happen. But if what happens if Drones gets injured on he's passing the ball and he gets dinged up or something, and then all of a sudden you're playing still it's not like you're playing McNeese State here. You know what I mean? You have enough that you would lose these games. That's the downside of the schedule, is
that's true.
Every single team, if you do not have your A game, you could lose to all of these teams.
That's true. They better hope he stays healthy, because as good as we think Schlee is as a backup, he is not Drones, and Drones is kind of what makes this thing go. And
he's brand new in the offense. He's never ran this offense before. Yeah. So I can tell you this: Rutgers is going to be a top 25 defense. Yeah. Miami is going to be on paper at least a top 25 defense. we'll see. But the floor to me is what? Floor is like 5-7, 4-8, something like that.
Nah, 4-8 would be so bad. 5-7 seems like it's about the floor. I mean, but we're expecting 9-3. Is that locked?
I think 9-3 is going to happen. I'm not locking it. I think if you're going to bet this, this is the way you bet this. Because, like I said, I just can't lock it because they didn't beat a team with a winning record last year. I know they bring back a ton, in which I have never seen this year doing this exercise. 11 starters back on the offensive side of the ball, and I do believe that will pay off. But I think the better way to bet this is plus 1,000 to win the ACC championship.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they'll be right in play at the end of it, at the end of the regular season. And then, I don't think Florida State has a significant advantage, or any other team in the ACC has really. I mean, where do you put them in the ACC pecking order on a neutral field against all of them?
Oh, I think they're right in there, but I would still put I trust Clemson, Florida State, Louisville over them. Now, Miami, I have no idea. Miami, I don't think deserves to be above Florida. I mean, maybe on paper, they deserve to be above Virginia Tech.
A lot of that's based on their schedule, though, similar to Virginia Tech. People are projecting them because their schedule's not that bad.
But then you have NC State. I actually think NC State's roster is probably more talented than Virginia Tech.
That's true. They were housing Virginia Tech last year.
Dude, I mean, look at their roster. NC State's roster is really good, but they historically choke. North Carolina's a team I think no one's talking about that I think could play. And Syracuse and Pitt are kind of wild cards to me too. I
mean,
I lean over though. I lean over with this much returning production, a favorable schedule.
Yeah. Pry he's born in Pennsylvania, but he grew up and went to high school in Virginia. He's as down country Virginia as it comes, kind of. And he has really committed to bringing in talent in state. He's been talking to all the coaches, having steak with the coaches, having steak dinners or whatever. And so he's prioritized that. And so I think that means that he's probably building culture like the way they used to have it, which is for a team that didn't really recruit at a top 10 level almost ever. They were a top 25 recruiting team in their heyday, but not really top 10, maybe once or twice, or a couple recruiting cycles. But it was mainly built on culture and scheme, and the lunch pail thing. So I think he can get that level of recruit back in the door. And if he can build the culture anywhere near where it used to be, then look out, because this thing could be only getting started under Pry.
No, you're very right. And I would like to see that come back. Obviously, Bud Foster, hell of a great guy. And I think you're right. Virginia Tech being good college football is better when they're good. I'm on the over, and I feel all right about it. It's just not lock worthy. I feel like, hey, you're returning this many starters, a favorable schedule. You're going to be favored in every game but 2 coming into the season. Hopefully you stay healthy, don't get dinged up, and you should be good. And maybe you win an ACC championship, and maybe you make the 12-team playoff, which is another element to college football being fantastic. This 12-team playoff, having hope. A year ago, you didn't have any hope.
Virginia Tech, historically, this is the exact team that, now the season becomes a lot more interesting for them.
Yeah. Folks, I'm on the over. Patty C's on the over. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at Patty C831. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. YouTube.com/The College Experience. That's the hub for all of our stuff. As we break down all 134 college football teams, check that out. Get on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know your comments on Miami, Virginia Tech. Is that a rivalry? Does that count as a full-on rivalry? Also, the college basketball experience. Check that out. Obviously, when the season goes live, Mike Young, let's get it done. Big year. Let's go. Casella Coliseum's got to be rocking. Let's get it going. College baseball experience as well. A couple years ago, the Hokies are pretty damn good. Maybe they can get back to it. Also, the Stadium Heads podcast. Check out the stadium. Lane Stadium is, in my opinion, I think you could say the best stadium in the ACC. You can make that argument. Some would say Clemson. Some would say I do like Carter Finley. I think's underrated, even though I hate NC State. And Bobby Dodd is a classic, but I think Lane Stadium's right up there with them. And I think you can make the case.
The program program filmed at Carter Finley.
No, it was Williams Bryce. Bryce.
Oh, okay, Williams Bryce.
Yeah. But either way, Carter Finley's a good stadium too, though, man. Scott Stadium, even the enemy has a nice stadium too, man. We talk about the history of college football and college football stadiums there, and why college football is the greatest thing to hit planet Earth. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast, folks. Until next time, also check out the Sports Gambling podcast. This is the Virginia Tech Hokies 2024 season preview episode. If you're real swift, in about 15 minutes, we're talking Army Black Knight football. Yes, Jeff Monken, they enter the AAC. Go listen to all of our other previews. This is the college football experience, Virginia Tech Hokie style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.